Hello y'all on YouTube, this is Rob from Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today I have an interesting impressions review, if you will, of the Brian Brown Knives Raptor 2. This is the version 2. This is the River's Edge Cutlery exclusive, the Rec exclusive. If you can see, this is bronze anodized titanium scales that are milled and have some texture in them. I really like the texture a lot. It is a PVD coated blade, as you can see as well. This is a hollow grind blade, which is really nice. And if you've noticed, the accents on here are zirconium. That's zirconium studs, zirconium kind of washer, zirconium deep carry clip. Just very nice accents on this knife, and you can probably see it's very well milled on the inside, so it's very light. Now the blade is, we'll talk about the measurements, but it's a pretty good sized blade, and it seems smaller, but yet at the same time very light, but it has a really good grip, and the action on this thing is just fantastic. So let's get into this. This was a River's Edge Cutlery exclusive. You no longer can find it on their website. That's part of what happens with some of their exclusives. So I'll have a link to River's Edge Cutlery, but really not much on their website. We'll talk about this knife. You do see the Brian Brown Knives down here, his little logo. As you can see, that's kind of cool. The deep carry clip, you know, it's going to be fairly deep, you know, not terribly fully hidden, but fairly deep. This could go up just probably a little bit higher, but you know, it makes sense to be here. I think he's trying to go along the line here and have an aesthetic kind of symmetry, which works really well. And you can see the clip here works really well. It is on top of the handle and not the frame lock. So it is a frame lock, as you can see. And it does have an steel insert and an over travel stop over here as well. And of course the clip helps with that too. And so that's nice. I do oil these knives, so it's a little oily because I use my knives. So I don't apologize for that, because as if you watched any of my other videos, you know that I don't collect knives just to store and never use. Every one of my knives I want to use because I like them, and a knife should be part of your collection and something you use. I have one queen save, or safe queen, excuse me, one safe queen. It's my dad's knife he bought before World War II. It's almost 100 years old, so it is a family heirloom, and I will have that as a safe queen. But the rest of my knives are in my collection, and some of them I very much enjoy, but they will remain in my collection because I also continue to use them. And this is now one of those. I really, really like this blade. I really like this. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say, this backspacer is also zirconium. So it's got some fairly good amount of zirconium on here. With the backspacer, the deep carry pocket clip, the titanium thumb studs, and the washers on the knife. If you notice, there's no screws on this side, totally screwless. Over here, we have 1, 2, 3 really main screws, and then you have the washer. I mean, the deep carry clip, there are screws here. You could probably have hidden them on the other side, but you know, that makes sense. This is made by Riot, so it is really, really well made. As you can see, the quality and the drop is fantastic. It's very smooth, buttery smooth, easy to deploy and flick. And even if you, after a while, if your hands don't have oils, it's easy to flick with your middle finger. So I can do a middle finger reverse flick on this really nicely. So that's nice. Love this knife. Really have enjoyed carrying this knife and using it, and it hones up really, really well on a leather strop. The edge here is ridiculous. It's really, really done nicely, and the grind on the edge was done really well. It comes down to a very, very thin edge. As you can see, if we come up here, I think you can probably see the, let's see if we can get a close-up here of the hollow grind. Can you see that? Probably a little bit better right there, right? Yeah, so there's the hollow grind. Comes all the way down to a very crazy, crazy thin edge right here. So that's really nice. All right, let's do some measurements and what have you, so we can kind of talk a little bit about the knife here. All right, so the weight on this knife is about 3.5 ounces, so 3.49 ounces. So fairly good weight for the knife. And let's do a little measurement of the blade here. So we're looking at a blade that is about from the tip of the blade to almost the handle. It's just a little under 3.5 inches. If we look at cutting edge, we're looking at probably 3¼ inches of cutting edge, because it is pretty flat right here, which allows you to choke up really well. You can choke up, and you can pretty secure because you can use your middle finger to hold it pretty solid here and keep this, so I'm not too worried about slipping off and coming up and cutting yourself there. So that's very nice. Let's do the handle. The handle on here is about 4¼ inches. Overall length of the knife, we're looking at about 7 3/4, right? So 7 3/4, which is, you know, a pretty full-size knife. It's not a giant knife. It's not a small knife. So I do get a great grip on here, and this clip is no hot spots. There's just simply no hot spots. Fits in really, really nicely in here. Doesn't dig in. You get a full grip here. I'm definitely medium. Giant hands could have no issues, and then if you choke up, certainly very big hands could easily use this for a nice push cut, what have you. So that's really nice. What else? Let's do the blade thickness real quick. All right, so we're looking at 0.14 inches, 140th of an inch. So 0.14 inches, that's not bad. That's about the width of, or the blade thickness of my Dan Carrer DTF that I had just done another review earlier on that you might have already seen. So that's a good solid thickness. It's not gigantic. It's not, you know, 0.2 inches, you know, some of the really, really, really thick stock blades that you get out there. But that hollow grind makes it a really nice slicer. The PVD coating on here is really nice. I like that a lot. Not a whole lot of marking on here, barely anything. Matter of fact, I think you might be able to, if I clean this off, you might be able to see the CPM 20V on here somewhere. See if I can find that. Well, I've got all this dirt on here, so I'll have to clean that off, but it might be on here somewhere. Yeah. Let me get a cloth for that, because that's kind of gross. Yeah, it's a lot of oil on there. Let's see if we can get in here. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find. I know the marking was on here somewhere. Well, maybe I'm thinking of another knife. I thought they had the steel on here. This is M390 steel. I was completely wrong. Yeah, M390. My apologies. I think I said CPM 20CV, but it's M390 blade steel, which is equivalent to CPM 20CV or the 204P steel. Those are all really good, solid, good edge retention, easy to sharpen, and pretty tough steel, relatively speaking, with great corrosion resistant. So it's a nice combination of all of those. So anyways, I really enjoyed this knife. This knife is fun to carry, it's fun to deploy, it's fun to use, it's useful, it's solid. It doesn't feel flimsy, it doesn't feel like it's just a pretty knife that you carry and you don't want to use. It feels very, very useful. I have used it, and you wouldn't even know it if it weren't for all the oil and dirt on there that obviously I didn't clean off because I used the knife. But definitely a nice knife. I wasn't sure I was going to like this bronze anodization, but I sure do. I really like that, especially with this black PVD. It's a nice color. I've not really ever had a Rec exclusive. I know this is sort of their color theme. I know they have Shamans that do this as well, and other knives, so I was glad to get one of these. So very cool, especially with the zirconium accents for the price. It was about the same price that they're offering many of the other ones, so I was really excited about that. Anyways, great knife. If you haven't checked it out, I know there's still some available. I don't think Rec has any more of these unless they have some returns or another batch, but there are available at, like, even at Urban EDC has some available. I know Blade HQ, I believe Knives Center has it, Knife Joy, I believe Blade Ops, and a bunch of other places have versions of theirs, and some of them are their exclusives. So they all really, you know, those are knives that they like to carry with their different accents. But it's relatively the same design. It's just maybe different color hardware and different accents. Some is mokotized zirconium. Some of it could be zirconium. Some of it could be anodized, you know, blue or red or whatever color anodized. hardware, so that's really nice. Some of it will have the PVD coating, some won't. You know, some will have maybe an anodized or colored. I know there's some fat carbon versions too on the Southwest SMKW, which is Southern South Smoking. Boy, I get emails from them all the time, and my brain just went dead there for a second. But SMK. SMKWS or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, they have their own versions too. I am so sorry. My brain just went, you know, I had a brain hiccup there and I couldn't remember. Anyways, they have lots of versions of those as well. If I get a chance, I'll try to maybe post some of the links for all the different ones that are available as of this video. But a great knife. So highly recommend it. I think the aesthetic is really nice, beautifully centered, not have any issues with that. Love how it works, and the action and play breaks in really nicely. So let's do some close-ups so you can get a nice look at this. Here is the mill titanium handles with the zirconium accents. And here you can see with the deep pocket carry clip, right? Definitely see that. And here's the nice centered blade. See the back with the blade up here and a nice zirconium backspacer, right? Really, really nice. And we can take a look at the blade here. Beautiful hollow grind. We can probably maybe get a little reflection where you can see some of the hollow grind as it reflects on that blade. See, can we get some of that light on there so you can see the hollow grind a little better? But anyways, so here's a blade with the zirconium thumb studs. Really nice. Got a little oil still there. Right? All the hardware is T8s all the way around. I really like that a lot. I think this is a T10. I think these are T8s. No T6s for sure on this one. Now, if you see in here, really milled out nicely for great weight reduction. That's really nice. I like the very small frame lock, so it's mostly out of the way for such a small handle. It's relatively small, so it's very easy to reverse flick and front flick, and like I said, even to middle flick is really nice. And then it's easy for me to over here reverse flick with the left hand and such like that. So very, very nice. Really, really do like this knife a lot. Anyways, impressions, definitely highly recommend. It's going to be on my high-end recommended knives. Definitely a great knife. I would highly recommend you check it out if this is the aesthetics and the shape and the function of this blade is to your appeal. I will tell you I wasn't sure at first, but once I got it in hand, man, love this thing. Really, really great to carry. If you like this video and you like this content, would you mind consider subscribing and hitting the like button down below? I sure would appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments or anything that you would like to see in some of these reviews, I would love to hear from you. Please feel free to comment down below as well. And if you like this content, it was entertaining, a value, or just worth your time, would you consider checking me out over on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. That's robs_nerdy_knives. I sure would appreciate that as well. Hey, thanks so much. Have a great day and a great week. Bye.